Hello, everyone. Again, my name is TJ Anderson, founder here of Elevate Your State and creator of the Health Hacker Accelerator. I am delighted and excited to be joined by not only a great friend, a past professor and mentor of mine, and a recent client that went through the 10-week Health Hacker Accelerator, Ken Brown. Ken, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Ken and I, we're going to jam for the next 10 or 15, 20 minutes about your experience through the Health Hacker Accelerator. For those that are watching this, why don't you go ahead and give a quick little introduction on yourself, where you're at, the work you're up to in the world, and kind of your experience of health before the Accelerator.
Yeah, you got it. So I am here at the University of Iowa. I came as a professor almost 20 years ago. Grew up on the East Coast, went to graduate school at Michigan State, and came out here and really sort of fallen in love with Iowa. Loved the university and the area. Was a high school athlete, and sort of fell out of shape in graduate school and early on trying to get tenure as a professor. Had kids, ate all their food, gained a lot of weight, and so I went through a cycle where I sort of got into shape after that, and then I had some knee problems and a shoulder problem, and really spent 8 years doing very little. And that's about the time when TJ and I reconnected, and was sort of following your journey, TJ, even before you were writing the book, and just thinking about health. And I finally made a commitment to move more. And that was right around the time that, you started talking about the Accelerator. And I thought, what a great fit. About the same time, I committed with another friend of mine, another former student, to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So, the desire to get better, your coaching, and the fear of dying on Mount Kilimanjaro were a really powerful combination. And that really sort of propelled me into the Accelerator and gave me a really good framework. And you were great about, working with me on that. I'm not trying to run marathons again. I'm not sure my knee would support that, although I'm feeling pretty good. We'll talk about it in just a minute.
Nice.
But I want to be able to have good enough aerobic capacity to be able to climb, get up to 20,000 feet. I want to shed weight because you don't want to carry weight up a mountain. It's
unnecessary weight.
Yeah, unnecessary weight. So those were my goals, and that's what we worked on.
Awesome. Great stuff. So to your point, past high school athlete and, go through, 20s and 30s and, into your 40s now, and you're a professor at the University of Iowa, and you kind of recently are on a little health kick. So you before the Accelerator, you actually enrolled in climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, as you mentioned, which huge shout out to you. I'm super excited for what it's going to be like for you when you summit that bad boy. And you've been on this year, 2018, a big kick, wanting to get back into movement, and so you signed up for the Accelerator. Great stuff. And so that's a little background, kind of your past as it relates to health. And obviously you're a really busy guy. Like, you're a father, you are leading one of the key leaders at the University of Iowa Tibby College of Business. And so you got a lot on your plate. For you, what were some problems or areas of interest that you wanted to focus on in your health that you kind of realized were areas that you could make improvement on, leading into the Accelerator, some problems that you were experiencing?
Yeah, I think you pinpointed one of my challenges was just being busy. As a father, administrator, professor, there's always more to do. There's always, a drain. And part of what I needed was, someone to sort of to nudge me along and hold me accountable. And that's where the Accelerator and that's where health coaching really comes into play. And it made a huge difference in terms of just putting that as a regular pacing for me. The other thing is that, over the years, you tend to, as you get busy, you think about, okay, I'm going to work on my eating for a while. And I was able to, a couple years ago, lose some weight doing that. Or I'm going to work on, getting up early and working out. So in the Accelerator is one of the few times when you really challenged us. And at first I was frustrated because I'm like, this is a lot all at once. But, you really challenge us to say, look, this works really well together, right? if you're eating well and you're thinking about sort of supplements and making sure your body has in it what it needs, and you're moving and you're sleeping well, great things happen. And that for me, that was a challenge, right? You're busy and you kind of want to do one thing at a time. But with the structure of the accelerator, with your coaching and guidance, I think being able to do a couple of these things together really creates some magic.
Yeah, it creates some magic. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah. Okay. So I love how you mentioned how you were originally kind of like frustrated. And so one of the problems leading into the accelerator was that you were just flat out busy. Like that was a challenge. Like you were maybe, I think you mentioned elsewhere to me in the past that you were, stressed. You had just stress going on with a lot on your plate, and time obviously plays a role in that. And so during the accelerator, you notice, I mean, we talk about a lot. So it's very comprehensive and holistic for a reason, which you kind of alluded to, and we'll get into some more. And it's designed to kind of be built on top of each other. So you mentioned how you were maybe originally a little bit kind of overwhelmed or a little frustrated with like, oh, it's not just nutrition, it's not just movement, it's all of these things. Right. And then there was actually a specific point in time where I remember this, Ken, you probably do too as well. We did a group call. And so, by the way, everyone listening to this, there are bi-weekly group calls throughout this 10-week health accelerator. So it's really like kind of a mastermind meets group coaching. And so on one of those group mastermind calls, I introduced my own personal process of simply kind of focusing on like healthy habits throughout the week and tracking them, an analog process on my whiteboard, of which I call designing my own kind of 7-day health hacker challenge. And that involves like picking the top habits you want to measure and track and focus on each day, and just simply, acknowledging them and making it really simple, not another technology tool, but analog. And Ken, tell me a little bit about that experience for you in terms of how we found a solution that would really make it easy for tracking. It's not about doing everything. It's just about like measuring, because you can't manage what you don't measure.
You got it.
But then also the fact that how all these things work together to stack, habit stacking, that concept.
Yeah. And I mean, so, for me, I spent some time really worried about the micronutrient analysis and supplementing. And then you sort of get into that and you think, okay, this is important, but alone it's not enough. So the structure of what we talked about is really just sort of a grid or a matrix. It talks about days and what are the core things that you want to do. And then I begun thinking about, okay, if I'm really doing a good job thinking about my psychological health and food, specifically for me, my food's okay, but supplementing in a way that fits the analyses that we did, and movement, and really thinking about a little bit of that each day, so that each day is an investment. Each day you're being conscious, despite being busy, because it doesn't take that much time of doing something. And you offered the structure, which is great, which is, for supplementing, like, it doesn't have to be a big deal. If you're eating some healthy meals and you've got, twice a day, just a few supplements that match you, and we had the data to show what I needed.
Yep.
And then for movement, I had been sort of getting up early, and you can't do that every day, because you get tired, but I'm getting up early and working out. So you offered a 10-minute sort of high impact intensity, like a HIIT routine, which was what I used when I was out of town in a hotel room and I didn't have time to hit the gym. It's what I used on afternoons if I had a morning where I couldn't work out. So that helped me make sure that every day I was hitting those sort of three categories. And I don't write it down anymore. I don't need to. But for a little while I did, just like you did on your whiteboard.
Yep.
And it just got me into that habit of thinking about every day. There's in addition to just my other to-do list items, all the stuff that I have to do as a father and in my job.
Right.
Like, I'm investing in myself.
Totally.
My body, my mind. And it's a really nice, simple structure. And I think when I fall out of it, I'll probably go back to writing it down. I've got my whiteboard back here. I can do it on a piece of paper. I can do it wherever I want. But the idea is to make it highly visible and simple, to remind yourself that, you've got to stack a couple things, but once you're doing a couple of things, they work together and you get really great results.
Yeah. Exactly. Cool. And so you as you mentioned, these things really don't take that much time, like the effort to uh, take supplements and to maybe do some mindfulness or a 10 to 20 minute like movement session throughout the day. Like, these things can be can sneak into the lifestyle without too much like time going into them. It's just a reminder. So you don't need to track it. I'm with you too. Like, you don't need to, like, when you feel like it's helpful,
Right.
that's when tracking, because
Right.
like you said, the point is to make it simple and have it be highly visible. So the whiteboard comes into play big time. You mentioned a couple other things in there that, just to kind of give context on for people listening or watching, is so the video. So we're building out. So the accelerator includes functional movement videos for you to follow along at home.
Yep.
Oftentimes, as Ken mentioned, that don't require a gym. And so that library is always continuing to grow. And Ken also mentioned the data related to knowing which specific supplements were going to be best for Ken. Specifically, the fact that we, throughout the accelerator, people watching this might already know this, but it also includes advanced blood testing and genetic testing.
Yeah.
And so that was an aspect that was, I recall you sharing that was a pretty valuable for you. And
it's a game changer. I mean, it changed my entire perspective on sort of what my range of options were. Knowing, for example, that I'm slightly higher than average risk around heart disease. It was like I had gone into the, any fat's good fat, go in there and use things like whole fat cheese and cream and stuff like that to get proteins and fats and reduce your carbohydrate intake. And what I discovered is that's not a good idea for me. And in the back of my mind, I always knew that. I knew that, anytime you're reading health recommendations, anytime you're reading anything, it's not necessarily for you.
Not custom.
But it's hard to get that out of the noise. And looking at my own blood work and my own genetic testing results is like, okay, now I know what I need to do for me. And I had some other sort of health issues that really, like, I kind of knew in the back of my head that this might be an issue. And then, like, having the results in front of me was like, okay, I really need to think differently. And as a result, I think that right now, sort of physically, I'm not only as light as I've been for 12 years. So my weight is down. I don't even think about that as much as I feel like I'm moving better. And I just feel stronger and healthier. So it's pretty remarkable. And a lot of that is about having a tailored sense for what's good for you, not what's written in some book someplace else, that might apply to you, but specifically what matches your blood test results and your genetic results. So that, to me, that was absolutely a game changer.
Cool. Yeah. And, as you mentioned, you learned something about yourself that specifically so Ken's referencing one of the genes we tested for, which is the ApoE gene, which shows how well you process cholesterol or fat. And so to Ken's point, this isn't like, some like a health or biohacking program that throws you into a specific diet. Everyone's talking about the ketogenic diet these days, but for you were you had one of the mutations for the ApoE gene that didn't do well with high saturated fat diet. And so we got creative for how we can still get healthy fats in, and like healthy cooking oils, for example, like going away from coconut oil.
Right. I'm using avocado oil, avocados, and a lot more nuts, hazelnuts and almonds. Cut back on cheese and red meats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now you have a chance here in a few months to actually do an after test to see how those results are pan out. So that opportunity to, get advanced blood testing and genetic testing, but also get a consultation with a naturopath doctor. So Dr. Catherine Zugoni and myself were on a consult with you to help you make sense of your blood work, and then create like a customized plan based on what's going on inside of your body. Like, you said you're already noticing like physical energy benefits, like you're lighter, you're just moving more fluid. Why is this opportunity to get like how was that process, the advanced blood testing and genetic testing process, like how was that like a game changer specifically? And you know, not just for you, but how do you think it's different, unique?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of things. You know, I think it's the tailoring, and then the sort of stacking. So, you know, it's for you, it's coached to you, you know, based on data, and then you're stacking the things that sort of work best given that profile. And you know, to me, it's just been a whole lot more motivating knowing that like what I'm taking as a supplement is not, you know, because it was written someplace. It's because my blood test results suggest this is the best way for me to be sort of optimal in my health. So it's a combination of things, but you know, it's made a huge difference. And I can't, you know, it's hard to quantify some of that. I mean, obviously you can quantify the weight loss, you know, but just that sense that, okay, you're on the right path because it's your path. That's how I feel. And it's been just a great gift.
Oh, awesome. That's great to hear, Ken. So any other couple like key areas of your own health that you want to share that were like kind of key for you to kind of grow an awareness of throughout the accelerator, you know, whether it's, you know, relationship with just mindfulness or alcohol or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, broadly speaking, what this does is there's just a whole range over the course of the accelerator of opportunities. And I think that's part of the tailoring too, is you decide what makes sense for you. And you know, I can tell you based on everything we've learned, I decided that I worry and think more about sleep. I'm more diligent in doing that. I drink less alcohol. And it's not because the opportunities aren't there. It's just because I'm more like mindful and thoughtful about its impact on me. And, you know, I'm more deliberate about my selection of fats in particular. So, you know, really there's just this overall greater health consciousness about the range of options available. And the cool thing is I don't feel pressured about doing it. You know, I don't feel like I'm trying to adhere to something. I feel like, you know, we developed a relationship that was really just about me and my health. And that's been just really powerful. And I feel like I've got tools too. You know, I've got things that I can specifically do that fit me, that I'm going to continue doing, you know, regardless of what's going on, regardless how busy I am or other things are going on, because I know it works for me.
Yeah, you got your transformation toolbox there.
There you go.
Yeah, and to your point, like, hey, I've worked in healthcare in lots of different capacities, and as far as like patient compliance and adherence, like I'm all about like empowering and sharing that, because it's your life, it's your health, it's not mine. I'm simply here to bring the tools and different ways of thinking and act as a mirror and great listener to support, acknowledge your own, and for us to really co-create together, you know. So
that's a great way to describe it. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you were a great mirror and a great provider of tools and resources, and that we built something that really has worked for me.
Awesome.
And I'm grateful for it.
I'm grateful as well that we work so well together and you appreciated my support. So the last thing that I want to touch on, if you, Ken, could share a few words of wisdom. Let's say someone's watching or listening to this right now. They, like you, have a general health consciousness. They're super busy, a lot on their plate. Like, what words of wisdom would you share with them if they're on the fence of, you know, considering the accelerator?
So I would say you always be busy, and there'll always be conflicting information, and you always, you know, will have sort of mixed emotions about what you're doing. But I say jump in and trust the process and listen and recognize that there's so many tools, you won't use them all. But over time, you'll start to adopt the hacker mentality of like, okay, with all these tools, which ones are going to get me where I want to go? And you'll find them. I mean, they'll be in there. And for me, you know, there's that 3 or 4 key things that I will always take away. I will always remember. And for someone else, they might be completely different. But it's all there. So you just got to trust the process, pay attention, you know, and just listen and experiment and be open to that. And then, you know, I think amazing things will happen.
Beautiful. Awesome, Ken. Thanks for sharing, my friend, and for being, a trooper along the way, and to not get too overwhelmed, and to find your own way, and pick and choose what works best for you. And it's been an honor to be on this journey with you. And I would say, if anyone has any questions for Ken, feel free to reach out. He might be able to quickly send you a reply email or something. But Ken, I love seeing the progress you've made in less than 3 months, and it's an honor to be on this journey with you. So keep it up, my friend, and
Thank you.
keep making it simple, effective self-coach approach.
Yep. Grateful, man. Thank you. And I look forward to continuing the conversation. You give me a lot, but I'm delighted to continue working with you because the results have been great, and I'm ready for the next stage of the journey.
Rock on. Let's take it to the next level. All right. Have a great day.